Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 2, Episode 16, Shadowplay. In this episode, Dax and Odo go to the Gamma Quadrant and try to help a village solve a missing persons case. Kira hooks up with Bareil. Jake gets an internship with O'Brien. And Quark tries to pull the wool over Kira's eyes.
This episode would have been a lot better if they nixed one of those subplots.
Yeah, when I was reading that out, I did realize there's about 4 individual plot lines, although not so distinct. Probably 3 plot lines, because the Quark, Kira, Bareil one was all part of one. But yeah, the Jake O'Brien internship plot line didn't really get much development, and that was more interesting than the stuff with Bareil.
I didn't like this stuff with what's his name? Bareil?
Bareil?
I didn't like the stuff with that guy at all. He comes off as creepy and stilted, and when they embrace and kiss, it did not feel right. It wasn't earned. His advances seemed unwelcomed, and they didn't bridge that for me, so it was really weird.
I guess it's hard to sympathize because I'm kind of not a lot like Kira, so maybe I don't see in Bareil what she sees. But I agree, he seems creepy. He's just always staring down and sort of mumbling loudly, if that makes sense.
They do the typical romantic comedy thing where she seemingly hates him at first, where she's arguing that his speech was bad. And then they fall for each other, supposedly, but I didn't see it, and I wish he never made it to the station.
Well, you wish he died en route.
Yeah, sure. Then we wouldn't have to deal with him.
Well, they've been friendly before, so it kind of makes sense they would hook up. Though I think their relationship's doomed to failure if they don't agree on religious grounds.
That's one tough hurdle to overcome.
Yeah. Their kissing was weird.
Yeah, and it kept going.
It felt too personal, like you're in the room with them, watching them kiss, and it was, I don't know if that's Bajoran kissing or something, but they're sort of just face rowing.
He seemed way more into it than Kira, and so that was distracting.
Maybe Nana Visitor was not really into it.
That's the vibe I got.
It didn't seem very passionate. It didn't have that new relationship energy. They just kind of were slowly headbutting each other in the mouth.
Yeah, it was just two people mashing faces together. There's no chemistry between them.
Bareil needs to hit the holodecks and practice kissing. There was actually another plot line, or another plot thread, I should say, that didn't go anywhere, where Kira asks Bashir to spy on Quark, and he says, Garrick's been teaching me.
I forgot that even happened.
Yeah, and then Bashir's just not mentioned for the rest of the episode, so what was the point in that?
She just wanted to keep him busy. It's like when you tell a little kid, let's play hide and seek, and then they just hide forever.
Do not
you don't find them.
And then 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, you're really good at hiding. I couldn't find you.
Kira was playing advanced hide and seek with Bashir. I did like how excited he was to do the spying, because he would be.
Yeah, he's a Garrick fanboy, so any opportunity to do the sort of things that Garrick seems to have some skill at would be right up his alleyway. So aside from the I forgot his name now. Ariel?
Creepy
the
man.
little Vedic. Aside from his plot, The Jake O'Brien stuff I thought was more interesting. In fact, the scene where Jake confesses to his father that he doesn't want to join Starfleet was quite tense.
Yeah, as soon as he said it, he just came out with it. I tensed up a bit because those kinds of conversations are not easy to have.
Yeah, Cisco just stands up and you don't know if he's gonna go off the rails.
Yeah.
Or just
and
accept
roar
it.
at him.
Yeah, punch a hole through the wall into space. But he was really kind about it. Although actually, it was well acted by Avery Brooks. I know we diss on him for being quite stilted a lot of the time, but he is really good.
Yeah, he is.
Whenever it's an emotionally tense scene, he totally nails it. It's just the rest of the time when he's buying coffee, it just seems a bit strange. I don't know why.
I think most of our problems with Cisco come from the writing and not necessarily Avery Brooks. He was wooden in the beginning, but he's so much better now. And as you've just mentioned, he really nails it in the emotional scenes. And everyone on this show, the principal actors, are really good. And when I'm not fully satisfied, it's almost always as a result of the writing or some other element, not necessarily the actor.
It's got to gel as a package for the acting to be good. If it's a bad episode, you can't act your way out of it. Speaking of interesting performances, we should probably talk about the main plotline.
Yeah, maybe.
We can just skip it. Oh, I really like this one. It's a nice little mystery with a couple of good twists.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's just hampered by that dumb Vedic plotline.
Overall, I don't think that ruined the episode. It was quite nice having a more light-hearted, relaxing episode where O'Brien was not once kidnapped and tortured. It's a good day on Deep Space Nine when nobody tries to kill O'Brien.
I'm going to again diverge from the main plotline to say I really like that they continued the O'Brien and Jake relationship that they sort of established earlier in this season, where he seeks his help on a project and they're working together. So there was some interaction there before, and Jake becoming an apprentice doesn't just come out of nowhere. So it's nice that they're continuing what's been established.
Yeah, although that was with Replicant O'Brien.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be so weird. What if he brings it up and then O'Brien is really weird about it? Well, that wasn't me.
Yeah, that was the Replicant clone of me that kissed my wife.
And told me to tell my wife that he loves her.
O'Brien's got so much baggage. He never mentions it, though. He's a pretty cool guy. He's chilled with the fact that all of this has happened, I guess. I mean, realistically, he'd be a quivering wreck at this point, having been arse-kicked halfway around the Alpha and Gamma quadrants.
Any normal person would have gone insane.
But Steadfast O'Brien stands tall.
He can fly off the handle, but he's still functioning.
He's still a functioning human. Is that your assessment?
Yeah, he's a functioning human.
He still works. Get him fixing the station.
Works nonstop. That's evidence of a psychological dilemma.
Oh, he's a workaholic.
Yeah. It sounds nice. Oh, he's so devoted to his work. But he gleefully, well, maybe not gleefully, but he works so much that he doesn't see his wife when they live on a space station together.
He can't bear to not be distracted for even a second. Okay, this is getting pretty dark, considering this episode was kind of lighthearted and nice.
Yeah.
And Dax was actually solving science problems.
I really liked Dax in this episode. she was solving science problems, and the show shoved it in my face that, yeah, Dax gossips, and that's a tired female stereotype, but it makes total sense when you've lived 7 lifetimes. The impersonal questions aren't fun anymore, as she said. And it makes sense that she would be gossiping and love to talk about people because everything else would be boring.
Yeah, we've seen everything around you for the last few hundred years. The only thing that's new is the people in your life. Odo couldn't care less.
Yeah, Odo had no idea how to make use of gossip.
Which is strange in a way. He's an investigator. Surely gossip is very valuable. Well, I guess often he just presses it out of Quark.
Yeah, he likes to extract it from his frenemy.
His best frenemy. Odo made friends with the little girl, Taya.
They had some interesting conversations.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was nice to see him open up in a way that he doesn't with the rest of the adult crew.
Yeah, he can't let himself be vulnerable to the crew, and it was nice that he spoke with this little girl, and we got a canonical reason why Odo doesn't just shapeshift all the time. And it makes sense. When people badger you to do something all the time, you become resentful and you don't want to. And I totally understand that.
Yeah, he didn't ask for this gift, and he doesn't like people to abuse it. Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, the real reason is because the budget isn't enough.
Right.
But it fits. It all fits into place, and that's good. We also got some pretty valuable information. Well, not really. She mentioned changeling again, the word changeling.
Odo's a unicorn, basically. He's thought, well, no, because unicorns aren't real. He's real.
Well, he's not real. It's a TV show.
It's real to me.
And he could turn into a unicorn. Oh, I'm so confused. We also got another mention, the Dominion. That's the third time they've been mentioned.
How were they mentioned here? I don't remember.
The Rurigan, the guy that was not a hologram, said he built this village after the Dominion conquered his homeworld of Ytria Prime.
Oh, okay.
When Odo changed into a spinning top for Taya, it reminded me of that season 1 episode where the guy finds his daughter hidden, the vortex, that's what it's called. And before they leave, she says, "So you really are a changeling?" And he just says, "Yep." I almost thought they wanted to apologize for that stinted moment from the last season by having the same thing happen. A child befriends Odo, and she asks if he's really a changeling, and he demonstrates it.
It felt that way.
It goes in line with what you're saying about showing rather than saying.
But after she did ask him, I thought, okay, he has to turn into something. That's Chekhov's gun. You can't just say that and then never turn into something in this episode.
Well, they did last time.
Yeah. This is an apology for that.
You're right about it being like Chekhov's gun. It was really awkward last time. So it was a lot more sort of satisfying this time.
I was reminded of that too, and I thought, you can't do this to us again. So I was really happy when he actually shapeshifted.
I've written down a few things which I'd like to bring up.
Go for it.
Jake gets a pretty swish internship.
He can be boppity booped.
Yes. As if anyone would want to talk to him.
Yeah, it would just be an opportunity for Cisco to publicly shame him.
Pretty much. But I think this shows outright bias towards the families of command officers.
That's how it works in real life, though.
But yeah, if your dad is in high places, you get a boost up.
Yeah. So, who's going to say something?
True, especially as Cisco is a loose cannon.
And how many candidates would there be? Obviously, you're going to pick Jake over Nog.
Well, presumably there's others on the space station, and if it's an internship, you often get people coming in, say from elsewhere in the Federation, to do an internship. I mean, I guess it was informal. I don't know. It just seemed a little bit biased.
Yeah, understandably so. Why wasn't Jake taking notes? He's sitting there, confused, unable to remember what O'Brien is telling him, and he has no notes in front of him.
There's only 5 categories of little tube things as well.
But he can't remember. He should write it down.
He can't remember 5 things, then yes, he should be writing these things down.
And then later, he tells Cisco, "Oh, I need to work on my tube knowledge." Those may not be his exact words, but that's pretty much what he was saying.
Well, maybe he's not old enough to have an iPad, so he just cannot write things down.
Well, we've only seen those in the hands of adults.
Another thing I had written down is that I have absolutely lost count of how many times a Bajoran dignitary turns up without warning and then says, "Oh, I didn't want to have a formal reception." I swear this is the 4th or 5th time it's happened.
Oh, those Bajorans.
Maybe it's a custom. You just don't tell anyone that you're turning up and just turn up and then say, "Oh, don't make a fuss."
Yeah. There are little things like that in other cultures outside of Western cultures that sound weird to me, but are totally accepted and fine.
This is true. I shouldn't judge Bajoran behavior without first checking my cultural privilege.
Yeah, you bigot.
I apologize.
And for example, in some cultures, it's rude to eat everything on your plate because then it means if you eat everything on your plate, then it means they didn't feed you enough. And then in other cultures, if you leave food on the plate, then it means you didn't like the food. So there are little things like that. It could just be a Bajoran custom.
In some cultures, it's rude to eat all the food off someone else's plate whilst they've gone to the bathroom.
What? I don't want to be part of those cultures.
The only other thing I noted down, and this is really, really weird.
Oh, I have a weird one. I hope it's the one I have.
Oh, unlikely, but let's see. I'll go first. Rurigan's been living in the hologram village for a long time, so presumably he's been eating food made of Omicron particles. So surely parts or all of his body is now Omicron particles.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
So he would probably end up being a hologram as well, even though he was once real. And then I thought, what if he'd only been there for a few years and only part of his body, because it takes a long time for all of your body to regenerate.
Right.
And they turn it off and just half of him disappears. It just collapses in a bloody mess on the floor.
Screaming in agony.
Are there not some cells that never regenerate? Do your brain cells regenerate? I can't remember. I don't think they do.
I don't think they do.
So they turn the machine off, his brain just falls to the floor. What was the weird thing you had written down, and was it that?
It wasn't that.
Okay, I'm glad.
The weird thing I had was when Odo beams away, he's sitting down.
Oh, yeah!
You're beamed in the position you're in, so he would be beamed
on his ass.
Yeah. And he took a while to come back, so I thought, oh, he probably fell down because he was in a seated position. And then he comes back and he's sitting in the chair, so then he either had to sit in the chair on the runabout or he was making a sitting motion before he beamed back. And that just delighted me to no end, thinking about that.
I did notice that at the time. He just beams back, standing up and all ruffled looking. His
Yeah, he
hair
has
out
to
of
fix his
place.
hair.
Sorry, I fell down.
And when he comes back, he's extra calm. And you could say it because he's proving a point, but then I think he's trying to overcompensate because he just fell down and he doesn't want anyone to know.
Play it cool.
No one suspects.
He did seem overly, kind of, as if everyone should be super impressed, even Dex. There was a nice camera shot when they turned the generator off, and then it pans around to reveal Rurigan still there.
Yeah, that was nice.
The follow-up scene with Odo trying to convince him just to play along with it was really nice as well, actually. Rurigan looked like he was tearing up.
Wouldn't you, after that moving and impassioned speech by a changeling? I don't know why being a changeling has anything to do with it.
I guess I would be. I don't know. I've never lived in a holographic village for 30 years, so it's hard to relate. Do you have a quote of the show to discuss?
I do. It's a plain one. You've got to live your own life. That sort of advice usually falls on deaf ears when you say it to youth. And you don't realize the power of that until you age a bit. At least I think. I certainly didn't get that until later. And it's really important not to focus on pleasing other people and to please yourself. So that was a nice message.
Yeah, I agree. The Jake plotline was definitely the strongest B plot. They should probably have just dropped the rest of it and focused on the Jake and O'Brien stuff. And Cisco.
Yeah, if they fleshed that out a bit more. It was already good, but there's more to do there. And they could shove off that silly other plot.
Yeah. It's good to see Jake actually bringing in sort of good emotional scenes, because in season 1, especially the first half, he was kind of young and not really convincing.
Yeah, and kind of superfluous.
Yeah, he's much better integrated into the show now.
He's an actual character now.
Yes, that's don't get so mean.
The beginning of this episode worried me a little bit. Odo mentions how does he word it? Humanoid occupation with romantic coupling, how it's foolish. I thought, oh man, they better not make him fall for someone in this same episode that he says this. I really hope he does find himself entangled in some romantic plot further down in this season or another. But to happen in the same episode would be so convenient and annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying when they use such blunt foreshadowing, and it's good that they didn't.
Yeah. Although it's weird that he said women don't react to him in that manner when we've had that episode where he's
like
trapped in an elevator.
Some women like him.
Maybe he's just trying to deny that happened. But that was weird.
Blocked it out from his memory.
Yeah.
I think he'd get a lot of attention from the ladies. And from men, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why he's a guy.
Oh, yeah. He chose to be a guy.
Yeah, oh, okay, so he's a guy. So yeah, I think he'd get attention from ladies. It's not just because he can shapeshift and that's got all manner of perverse uses, but he's a strong character, position of authority, well respected.
Yeah.
He's really smart.
Lots of good attributes.
Yeah, he's quite a catch. Well, we'll have to wait and see on the Odo love life front. I think that's enough for now.
Yeah, that should be good.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.